I just got back from a week in Hokkaido of chronic illness-friendly slow travel. And full disclosure, I didn't even look at the guidebook until I got there, and that's okay. Hi, my name is Sally. I'm a travel advisor living with chronic illness, and I help people like me book nervous system supportive travel. And I am living and working from Japan right now until November. And this week in Hokkaido was a week of vacation that I had taken in August, really just to relax and also enjoy my birthday. I had never been to Hokkaido before, and I booked 4 days in Sapporo and 3 days in Niseko, which is a resort, skiing resort mountain town. So come along with me as I share what I get up to on this trip. And in part 2 of this vlog, I will be showing you my drive up to Niseko through the mountains, where I stayed in Niseko, and what I got up to in that town, and also for my birthday, which was the middle of that trip. Now, this being part 2, here's everything you missed in part 1. So I drove up to Niseko from Sapporo, and not super easy to film while driving, but a little bit that I managed while in stationary traffic, and as you can see, pretty beautiful. Then in Niseko I stayed at the Park Hyatt Niseko, which truly is a fabulous property, as you will see, incredibly chronic illness friendly. Contrasted with Kyoto that you will have seen a few weeks ago where there was lots of wood, here there is lots of concrete, much taller ceilings. This is the room that I was given. I booked a standard king and I was upgraded to this beautiful deluxe king suite, which as you can see has 2 bathrooms, a full fridge and freezer, and huge amounts of space, tons of storage. This is a ski resort, so you're also going to see that was the boot heater in the closet there. Lots of ski finishes. Here is the mini bar. And then we've got this beautiful corner room with phenomenal views, this fantastic birthday cake and cards wishing me happy birthday, and then views of Mount Yotei, which were so fantastic after that disappointment with Mount Fuji. It's also got its own onsen in the room, which I did use, and I'll tell you more about later. More stunning views, lovely king bed, huge bathroom and shower double vanity, and then another huge closet there in the back. And they did turn the shower head the wrong way around. Now, all the rooms at the Park Hyatt Niseko are oversized for Japan. When they were planning this ski resort, they were really intending it to be for the American market. So in a way, even the standard king feels a little bit like a suite with a separate sitting area. But they do, as you can see, have some huge suites which are just beautiful. This is the long hallway coming into this area, and throughout the hotel you can see just beautiful finishes that remind you that you are in Japan. But the overall aesthetic is quite different than the one at Park Hyatt Kyoto, which I think is very interesting. And you're constantly surrounded by windows with the view out to the mountains and the gondolas that are going up there. Now in the summer, of course, they don't go all the way up. You will see later in the video I did go up as far as you can to get some views, but in the winter this would be ski in, ski out, right onto that gondola. And just really spacious. And then more beautiful views again. If we go down one floor, you can see the fantastic boot room that then goes out on what would be the ski resort in the winter, and in the summer there are some fun outside activities that you can do. So there's the boot room on the left, and on the right hand side, I didn't go in there, is a games room. There were lots of kids back there playing things that sounded like table tennis or pool or what have you. And then this goes right out. They also have a parking garage covered under the building, limited number of spots, but if you're a globalist or booking through Hyatt Privé, you will get a spot there. And of course the obligatory umbrellas. This is Japan, just waiting for you to help yourself. Now this beautiful swimming pool that I did swim in one time. So the first full day I had in Niseko was actually my birthday, and I decided to treat myself to driving around the circumference of Mount Yotei and taking in the fantastic views. And I pulled over a few times to film. Obviously, when you stop to film, it goes behind the clouds, and when you're driving, it's a beautiful view. But there we are. This is the car park for the national park for Mount Yotei, where you can hike up. Obviously in the summer it is quite deserted. Those look like picnic tables there. That was the toilet block over to the right there, and various other municipal facilities. If I didn't have long COVID, obviously this would be a great place to go for a hike, but it's also a great spot to just pull up and take in the views and take some fabulous video. And that annoying fringe is a total mess again, as always. Now here I pulled over in a lay-by by the side of the road, and much clearer views. You can almost see the top. Who needs Mount Fuji? Mount Yotei is much more beautiful. Then I saw this beautiful cemetery by the side of the road and stopped to wander around a little bit. Bizarrely, I often go wandering around cemeteries on my birthday. Not morbid, but just because I used to live in Fulham right by Brompton Cemetery, it was a great place to go for a walk. That fringe is getting in the breeze again, and you can see Mount Yotei is behind me there a little bit. There we go, I've moved over. And then completing the circumference, I stopped at a rest stop, which is basically for people to stop and use the bathroom, get some snacks and things. But in true Japanese fashion, was quite beautiful, and some lovely places to wander around and stretch your legs. If you have kiddos, great for them to run around and get the wiggles out. And as you will see in a moment, a teeny little view of Mount Yotei in the background. Japan Japan really has so many beautiful places like this that are technically just laybys, rest stops at the side of the road. It really is fantastic for road tripping. And that is Mount Yotei just behind the clouds there. Now this is Kuchan, which is really the largest town to the Park Hyatt Niseko Hanazano resort ski area. And as you can see, it really has an American feel. It kind of felt a bit sort of Park City-ish to me, in that there's lots of space, a little bit of kind of strip mallish, but in that cool Japanese kind of way. You can still see Mount Yotei in the background, but I can imagine in the winter when all the snow is down, there's kind of hustle and bustle, people going to stores and bars and restaurants, so it must be a really nice atmosphere. Niseko itself is just a tiny little hamlet. There isn't really anything there except for a teeny train, but the main train stops here. And I was chatting to one of the waitresses in a moment, you will see. She told me the Shinkansen is coming very soon and will stop at Kuchan, which will be fantastic. So I hustled back to the hotel for 3 o'clock because I'd booked myself afternoon tea for my birthday. And I haven't had an afternoon tea in a very long time. I used to be gluten and dairy free at one point, so it wasn't all that possible. But this was truly fantastic. And being Japan, the portions were all teeny tiny bite size, so I didn't feel at all overwhelmed or full. And I do quite struggle with portions for most of the time. And they put me out on the terrace there, as you can see. Now I did have to ask them to do that. Typically they would seat people inside, but it was just such a lovely day. And obviously for us to be outside is so much better, that I really pushed them in a non-Japanese way, talking about my chronic illness, and ultimately they were able to step up. And as you can see, aside from that lovely gentleman who decided at that moment to come out and take a photograph right in front of me when there were literally 100 yards of terrace either direction that he could have stood, aside from that, I was out there all by myself for several hours. It was absolutely the view, as you have seen many times. It was just truly delightful. And now you can sit back and watch me eat my food, which is a little bit strange. And the service, as you can see, by and large they left me to my own devices, which was much appreciated, but they did come out with the various different courses at times and were attentive when I did need things. I find it so interesting at these big hotels. There were a lot of Japanese people staying there, but by and large the staff are international. They do speak Japanese, but obviously they speak fantastic English, and the emphasis is slightly more international in terms of the service. This woman was telling me that she actually went to college not far from where I lived down in Kyushu, so we had a big long natter for a while about Japan and how it had changed over the years, which was super lovely. And if you're wondering, by the way, what is in this afternoon tea, if you want to go to Park Hyatt Niseko and order the same, it had 4 different savory bites to start, and then 4 teeny tiny cakes that you can see on the cake stand there, plus a scone which is on the wooden cake stand in the foreground. I think I'm having a pause at this point because I didn't want to get overly full too fast. And then there's also savory crepe over to the right hand side on that white plate, and then when I'm done with all of that, they're going to bring me some Hokkaido ice cream, which, as you know, is a big delicacy. I did have some choices. I think the cakes on the glass cake stand I got to choose, and of course you could have had champagne, but I can't drink alcohol, so that there is some sort of sour cherry non-alcoholic cocktail, and it was all incredibly delicious. I was one of very few people who seemed to be having it, but it was quite hard to book. I did book several months out to get it on my birthday, so if you are planning to go, let me know early so we can get you in the calendar. And this is the very sweet manager popping by to make sure everything was to my liking, and especially the fact that we had sat out on the terrace in the end, which was very kind of him. And here you can see the full terrace and the view. Then that evening I ran myself an onsen in my room. Now normally I can't do these because they're too hot, but you get to control your own temperature here, and so I could make it just right, and I had no symptoms at all. It was lovely. Then my final day in Niseko, I decided to go out the front there, which I hadn't really done before, and explore the gondola and up the mountain. You can see here these slightly strange looking things are a summer art light installation which lights up at nighttime. Then you can see all the buildings of the Park Hyatt, and there is the gondola over there that we will be going up in a moment. And the slightly strange looking, that's actually a moving walkway, is the bunny slope for the kiddos, and that is only open in the winter for them to go up and down. Now just right here on the corner of this building is my room. I'm on the second floor, and as you can see, that's why I have such a fantastic view. Then this 308 building straight ahead is the main resort hub where you can get your tickets and rent boots and fun things like that. Interestingly, that building right on the left there is the residences, which are privately owned apartments. Now this is the second gondola, which isn't open in the summer, but the one on the left is. That's where we're going. Then here on the left you've got paddle courts. Dreaming of a day I can play paddle. And then there's a lake down there and zip lining, which obviously is too much adrenaline for us, but if you have others with you, lots of fun. Now this building here, the edge, looks like it has lots going on in the winter, restaurants and things, and then little cafes there, but obviously quiet in the summer. But here it is, the gondola, and not surprisingly, I had one all to myself. Now I have been skiing once in my lifetime, or rather snowboarding, but I've never seen a gondola this fancy that has drinks holders. Here is what we're coming for, the fabulous view. Now it is a little bit moody today, but on a clear day I imagine that would be fantastic, but even on a moody day it's pretty spectacular. And there it is, my best friend Mount Yotei. Then here we are at the top, which is basically halfway up the mountain, and there is a second chairlift that goes up further, which is not open in the summer, but you can see here the ski run routes. Doesn't really mean anything to me, but may to a lot of people. So this is the chairlift that goes up to the top, which is closed in the summer, but you can walk right up to the edge just to get a sense of where it goes. So you can see there where the cables go further up towards the top. And Mount Yotei looking moody as always in the distance. Now if you wanted to go for a hike, there seem to be a couple of trails that go from here a little bit down the mountain there, and then one to the left that goes a little bit up the mountain. And I think down here is also where the folks are heading to with their harnesses on to start their zip lining. No zip lining for me, but pretty nice views across the valley there. Now for dinner, I treated myself to the in-house sushi omakase restaurant called Mitsukawa. It has 6 seats and you just sit at the counter and watch the chef prepare every single bite for you. Now amazingly, I've never done this in Japan before. I've done it a lot in New York. But not surprisingly, it was absolutely phenomenal. Literally the best sushi I have ever eaten. Just delicious.
It's a surf crab. It's a turtle. Post macro. It's a belt fish.
Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that gave you some inspiration of what slow travel with chronic illness can look like. And if you would like me to book you a similar trip in Japan or anywhere else, feel free to leave me a message in the comments, or my email address is also in the description.